Hey there, internet friends. This is Danielle Pierce, creator of Real Estate Profit Lab and Property Preservation Mastery. How you guys doing tonight? Hopefully all is well. Just making sure my stream is okay before I get started. So give me 1 second while I do that and turn off this echo. All right, cool. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. This is day 2 of our 21-day series. So basically 21 days of live Q&A where I'm going to be answering one question a day related to property preservation. So this is our hashtag Day in the Life campaign. So you can tune in each night right here on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. I'm going to get into the pros and cons of the industry, which I do quite frequently, pitfalls, which there are many, dealing with contractors. That's a continuous learning process, launching your business, working with family, and something we call the success gap. So basically the difference between those students who get started and start, achieving $5,000 to $10,000 months within the first 6 months, and then others who get started and maybe don't fully launch, or they kind of get stuck in analysis paralysis for a little bit. So we'll get into that a little bit later on in the campaign. This particular Day in the Life campaign is going to take us right into our Black Friday campaign. I'm going to be talking about the current state of the industry. I'll be sharing some more articles and kind of think pieces around that, and then highlighting our most successful students of the year for 2021. All right, with that in mind, let's get into highs and lows because I feel like I got a lot of lows to share today for some reason. All right. So basically, highs and lows is something my partner and I do, Thomas Stovall, prior to some of the meetings that we get into. It's just a way to provide some insight into, a little bit more of the personal side, and everything is not always 100% strictly business. So with that in mind, and again, it doesn't have to be anything traumatic or like life altering, right? It's just, a quick win or a quick loss that you've encountered for the day. So I'll go first. I'm going to start with my lows. So number one, okay, the temperature finally dropped below like 70 degrees for the first time. That was the first thing. So I'm a little bit distraught about that. It'll be back into the 70s later this week. But, if you haven't experienced, I haven't experienced, 50 something, 60 something in a while. So it's a little bit of a shock. All right. So there's that. And then a hornet tried to attack me this morning. So I got in my car, pulled out the driveway. I was headed to the gym, and I noticed this giant hornet. Like, it was probably this big. If you check my Instagram stories, you'll see it. And at first I thought it was inside the car. So I'm glad that it wasn't. So I stopped my car in the middle of the street, get out of the car, and go outside to make sure that this hornet is actually not in my car. Not in my car. So it's just hanging out on the window. So I get back in, again through the passenger side. This is important because I don't want to get attacked. And I head to the gym, and I'm thinking that surely by the time I get out of the gym, this thing will have flown away. And lo and behold, I get out of the gym and it's still hanging out on the window on the driver's side. So I had one of the guys at the gym come get it off. And yeah, that was my another low. And then the last thing, I charged $76 on a credit card, and one of my credit scores dropped 11 points. So I pay for credit monitoring through my FICO, which I'm starting to think is a complete waste of time and money. But anyway, yeah, I noticed that today, and I just could only just shake my head and laugh hysterically because there's literally no figuring out this credit scoring system. Like, even if you think that you've got it, you can get general ideas and trends, but it's something else to it. So that's my lows for today. So y'all be sure to drop yours in the comments as well. Now, as far as the high, I mentioned this yesterday. I'll mention it again. My birthday is coming up. I'll be 42 on November the 13th. I am a very proud Scorpio, and so I'm super excited to celebrate this year in Palm Springs. All right. So back to the campaign. So yeah, mark your calendars. Wednesday, November the 24th, you'll have exactly 5 hours, count them, 5 hours to register for our flagship property preservation mastery course at $1,497. That is $1,000 off of the regular price. You're not going to see that price again, ever. And it's only going to be available for 5 hours. If you have not set a reminder in your phone, please do so now. We're also throwing in an additional $3,000 in bonuses. So can't wait to get into the details behind that. Just couple more weeks out. Today, we're talking about eviction. I've not personally been evicted before, although I've experienced it briefly when my mother, I should say, decided to transition us from Chicago Heights to Atlanta for a better life. And yeah, it wasn't a better life. And so she was evicted, I think twice. because, Georgia, Texas, those places, you fall behind on your rent, you'll be evicted within about 7 to 14 days. It's nothing like it is in, I don't want to say democratic places, but you get the idea. So I haven't personally experienced it, but I do know what the process is like. So you're going to encounter eviction in the field as a property preservation vendor. There's no getting around it. Now you can decline these work orders. Like you can decline anything really. You don't have to do every single work order that comes your way. But I will say this about declining work orders. If you say that you can cover a specific territory, and then you start declining work orders left and right, that'll probably start to look bad. And then you may end up having that territory reassigned to another company. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. But you can decline evictions if they are just too stressful or they go against your moral code. I definitely get it. They can be very stressful, can be a little bit dangerous too, depending upon where you live, in the country. Let me go back and see if there's any comments on YouTube. I forgot to let me see. I see Adrian, Daniel, Bailey. I appreciate y'all. If you have any comments, please be sure to leave them in the chat, and please be sure to leave your highs and lows as well. Appreciate you guys taking the time out to do that. All right. So you are going to encounter eviction in the field. It's not really a way to get around it. The important thing to remember, really the only thing to remember about evictions, is that the onus is always on you as the vendor to keep track of eviction rules for the county where the eviction is scheduled. So what you'll find in practice is that you'll receive work orders for evictions that'll say things like, call the sheriff to confirm the eviction. Well, in a place like Chicago or Cook County, it ain't no calling the sheriff. If you do get through, which is a very low probability, I should add, they're usually, not very informative. They hang up, they're rude, dismissive. Like eviction, in big cities is kind of, I don't want to use the word common, but it's just not high priority for the sheriffs in Cook County. So they'll say things like, contact the sheriff, take everything out of the property, remove it, take it to the dump. So doing those things, if you follow the exact work order instructions as they're given to you, you could still find yourself in trouble because some of those work orders are not in alignment with the actual law. So for example, if you're told to go to a property, take everything out of the property and take it to the dump. Well, if you're in a state where you're required to put everything on the curb for a certain time frame, it could be 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. If you're required to do that and you don't, the person who was just evicted, well, they're probably going to have a lawsuit, and guess who's going to be named inside of that lawsuit? It'll be you, or specifically your company. So the only takeaway I want you to remember, if you forget anything else about evictions, is that it is your number one job to remain abreast of whatever the eviction rules are in the county in which you live, which is another reason why I tell people to stay local as opposed to trying to cover an entire state or multiple state, because there's some legal issues that you could quickly find yourself in if you go about an eviction the wrong way. And if you're uncertain, you could, obviously there's Google, you can research online, you could try to contact the sheriff's office, you could try to contact, what am I trying to say, an attorney familiar with the eviction process, but there's going to be some work you'll have to do on the front end to make sure that you stay on top of the rules. Last thing I'll say about the eviction process too is that some states have what's the phrase I'm looking for, a minimum guideline before anything over that threshold you can't just dispose of it. So if you go into a property and it looks like, wow, they have a bunch of TVs, they have brand new furniture, and it's clearly worth over, let's say, $500. Well, guess what? You can't just take everything in there that is in, good marketable condition and just toss it in the trash. Like that is not how the process works. But again, I want to caution you that some companies will issue you work orders that say things just like that are against the law. And it's going to be your job to make sure that you're not breaking the law and that you don't get sued. So that is my tip for today. If you missed yesterday's tip, go back and watch it now. All the videos are going to remain on YouTube. I really am a fan of this particular campaign because I like answering questions in a very short, brief, and concise manner. All that means the same thing, whatever. But I like, getting right to the point and focusing on one thing, and then, not diluting the video with a bunch of extraneous information. All right. So last thing I'll say is, again, set a reminder for November the 24th to take advantage of that $1,000 discount on the course. It'll be $14.97. You're never going to see that price again. You can quote me on that. So that's not just something that we're saying for marketing. It's not going to happen again. There's no price increases planned for the near future, but I know for sure you won't see $14.97 again. All right. And again, that's also we're going to tack on about $3,000 in additional bonuses as well. So as always, I do send you guys love, light, peace, blessings, grace, and clarity. Please be sure to like, subscribe, share the video if you have not already. And I'll see you guys back here tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And tomorrow, what am I talking about tomorrow? Let me just see. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about how much money will you make in the first 6 months, and then how long is it going to take for you to make that money? Because the number one question that people ask is some version of, well, if I pay for this class, how fast am I going to make my money back? So we're going to get into that tomorrow. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Appreciate your time as always. And I'll see you back here tomorrow.